Hi there, it's Peter from drvoip.com. In this video, we're going to be describing a contact center solution in which we provide you everything you need, all of the contact flows, the Lambda functions that you will need, descriptions on how to configure a DynamoDB database to support this contact flow. We'll do several tech tips on how to configure an Amazon Connect instance, how to configure voicemail, and how to configure optional agent display and dashboards. In this video, however, we're going to focus exclusively on a set of contact flows that are designed to be dynamically configured, and for that reason, they're reusable rather than doing cut and paste and trying to modify a cut and paste copy of a contact flow that you previously used. We're just going to have maybe 6 contact flows that can be redefined based on the telephone number that your caller dialed. And that's this video is going to cover that. So first, some of the requirements. This is an intermediate level presentation. We assume that you're familiar with the AWS console, that you know how to log in, that you have administrative level permissions. You're going to need administrative level permissions because you're going to have to create some IAM roles. You're going to be working with DynamoDB, Lambda functions, and you're just going to need these permissions. So make sure you have them before you even start. We need you to be familiar with the Amazon Connect instance. It'd be nice if you had some coding experience. It's not necessary, but it would be helpful. If you're not familiar with the AWS console and how to configure an Amazon Connect instance, go to the Dr. VoIP website. You'll find a fundamental video tutorial package that will walk you through setting up an Amazon Connect instance, and will actually give you a handful of basic contact flows that enable you to get a voice-only contact flow up and working very quickly. So we're not going to be doing a tutorial on how to set up Amazon Connect. We assume you already have a contact instance set up. We're not doing a tutorial on DynamoDB or Lambda or CloudWatch. There are many, many other videos out there. I don't think that you really need deep understanding of these subject areas. If you have some experience, it'll make this a little bit easier. But we will walk you through how to configure a Dynamo table. And we're providing you the Lambda functions. And so all you have to do is install it, and we'll walk you through that. We assume that you have a plan. You know how you want your call center to work. You have customer service queues defined, tech support, customer service, shipping, whatever it is in your business, and however you group your personnel into these customer service queues. We hope you have that laid out. You're going to need to know the operating hours, when are you open, when are you closed, and how you'd like to handle things when you're closed. You don't have to be a software development engineer, but as I said, we're going to be working with Lambda functions. We will provide the Lambda functions. We work in both Node and Python. If that doesn't mean anything to you, don't worry. Again, we'll show you how to install the Lambda functions that we provide. Likewise, we'll show you how to install a DynamoDB table, how to set up the various fields that you're going to need to make these contact flows work, and how to set up the overall configuration of the contact center. Key components here, the AWS services that you're going to tap are, in fact, Lambda functions and DynamoDB. Those are the big ones. There are some use of simple email services, some use of Cognito. Again, very, very basic. We're not going to get deep into those subject matters. If that's of interest to you, there are plenty of other videos that cover that. We're just going to show you what you need to know to get these contact flows up and working. We're also going to rely on two other third-party applications. The contact flows that we're providing make it possible to use the AWS published voicemail solution. This is a GitHub repository. Again, if you don't know what that is, we'll explain it in enough detail in a separate video to enable you to get that and get it installed. Likewise, there's an agent desktop that we recommend, ConnectPath, formerly Dexter, and you will want to take a look at that. Whether you decide to use it or not is up to you, but it is part of this presentation. This is the agent workspace that you get out of the box from Amazon. It's a foundation on which they continue to add new features, but it's a very, very basic interface, dial pad and phone manipulation over here, and a workspace for screen pops over here. But again, currently very rudimentary. If you were to use the ConnectPath agent, you'll find that it's got some superior capabilities that I think you would want to take a look at. It's not going to cost you anything to try it, so give it a try. But it is an advanced interface for agents. It does things like enable you to see the status of your teammates, to communicate with them, set up chat or voice calls to them, something you cannot do in a basic Amazon Connect instance today anyway, in October of 2023. You've got the ability to search for contacts. You've got the ability to generate reports. There's many, many functions that this software provides, and we'll be describing that in these contact flows. We're going to provide you a number of contact flows that are designed to be very flexible, and you can grow a very sophisticated voice-only call center with these. The ones that we're providing include the main one, which is this map DNS, which we'll explain, transfer to IVR, transfer to queue, transfer to agent, an after-hours call handler, an error handler, queue hold options, and agent hold options. These are contact flows that we're going to dynamically reconfigure, and that's the whole purpose of this tutorial, and all of this content is being made available on the website. The configuration hints here. One of the first decisions you have to make is whether you're going to use SAML, single sign-on, or you're going to just define your agents within the database. Again, that may be something you're not familiar with as a business process professional rather than a technical professional, but it is a key distinction that you have to make. You can only do this one time. If you set this up for a local database, you can't then change it to a single sign-on. If you don't understand single sign-on, very simple description is it's a place where we go log in one time, and then we don't have to log in for each application that we're using. If we log in here, we're granted authorization and referred over to the call center, and then we don't have to log in again. If it's a local database, you'll log in directly to the call center, and you'll have all of your authorization, usernames, logins, passwords will be in the call center. Once that's done, go ahead and launch. Once you make that decision, go ahead and launch your Connect instance. Go ahead and add telephone numbers. Telephone numbers will be provided by AWS. Later on, you can either forward numbers you have to those new numbers, or you can port your existing telephone numbers to the instance. That's a process, not an event. Allow 30 days for that. I like to do warm ports, which means I'll use the telephone numbers that AWS gives us, and then I will forward my main business number to those numbers and later and start the porting process. And when they're ultimately ported over, then there's no call forwarding involved and not much work to make use of those numbers. There are certain soft limits in the system that you'll want to immediately address. For example, there's a limit to the number of phone numbers that you can have on an Amazon Connect instance out of the box. It's typically 4, but I've seen a couple of situations lately where it's only 1. But in any case, you're going to open a ticket with AWS. It's a soft limit. It's just their strategy for making sure we know who our customer is and we don't have a fraud situation, etc. But you'll make a request for, I need 10 phone numbers. Or some other number of numbers. Also, the number of simultaneously calls, I believe in the basic out-of-the-box configuration, it's like 10 calls. Clearly, a call center, you wouldn't have a call center if it was only going to support 10 simultaneous calls in and out, so you'll want to increase that number. You're going to create your operating hours. You're going to create queues, customer service queues, routing profiles, and add your agents. Again, we have a video on the website that'll show you how to set all of this up. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this subject matter. We're focused on the details of the advanced contact flows to get you a fairly sophisticated contact center set up in a short period of time that's both expandable and flexible. Then we're going to go ahead and install voicemail. We're going to install the Connect Path agent dashboard. There'll be separate tech tip videos on how to do this. We'll configure the DynamoDB table. We'll configure the Lambda. As I said, we provide the Lambda functions, and we'll just show you how to get them installed. And then you're going to load the provided contact flows. We're going to give you a bunch of contact flows that are designed to work with this presentation and to get you that scalable, flexible contact center, voice only in this iteration. These contact flows need to be published in a specific order. And rather than sit here and trying to figure out which one to publish first, when you load them, and if you try to publish them, it'll give you an error. It'll show you what the error is, and basically what's happening here is you can't publish contact flow C until you publish contact flow A. If you try to publish C, it might tell you it's missing contact flow A, so go fix A, publish it, then you can contact flow C, and so on. Each of the contact flows, when you load them, will create a unique Amazon resource number. You need to note this ARN because you're going to use it in the database, and you'll see that shortly. As I pointed out, simple email services. The voicemail system is going to want to send WAV files or transcripts to an email address. AWS is not going to send email to an unverified address. So simple email services is just a place you're going to go, put in the email address. It's going to send you a verification link, click on it, you're done. Cognito is going to be used for the manager and administrator of the voicemail system. Again, you don't get lost in this. They're just, you're going to touch them one time and you won't play with them again. And you're going to need to be able to create an IAM role for the Lambda functions. The Lambda functions are calling on DynamoDB tables and they need certain permissions. You're going to need to create those roles. We'll show you how to do that. Here's an example of the DynamoDB table. This is just one entry, if you will, in that table. Now, the whole concept behind this dynamic contact flows is we're going to use DNIS. Old PBX guys would call this dialed number information service. It's a way that the call center can tell. Let's take a situation where you sell Ginzu knives, you make hotel reservations, and you book holiday packages for hotels. And each one of those have a different phone number. And when you dial that phone number, the agents need to know whether they're making a hotel reservation, selling a Ginzu knife, etc. And the way we do that is based on the number that they dialed. We're going to use that to index the database and pull back a bunch of information to configure the contact flows, which we'll explain in great detail in the rest of this presentation. Minimally, you're going to set your partition key to be DNIS. That will be the phone number you put in there. You'll see here a fake phone number, 300-999-1000. I typically use that for a variety of reasons because there's no area code 300. But sometimes as a placeholder or sometimes for configuration options, we'll make use of that. Extension number is used in the voice messaging system, so we want every queue to have an extension number. For this reason, when we create our queues, tech support, customer service, whatever, we're going to create a fake user in the contact center called tech support, customer service. Why? Because the voicemail system goes to that database to get the email address that it's going to use to send the voice message. And it indexes that database using an extension number. So we're going to create fake names for our queues, put them in the user database in the contact center so that when we bring up the voicemail administration, we can assign it an extension number. And now the queues, if we've got a caller in queue and we tell them, hey, would you like to leave a message? We can have that message go to an email associated with that queue. You'll see that we're going to typically transfer the phone call to one of two types of contact flows. One is an IVR. So by that I mean a menu. Thanks for calling. Press 1 for tech support, 2 for sales, 3 for customer service, something like that. So that would be an IVR menu. And there would be options, option 1, 2, and 3, for example. So here in the database, we're going to say if someone calls this phone number, we want to transfer them to this contact flow. This contact flow happens to be in your package, will be transferred to IVR. In there, it'll have a contact flow that says play the greeting prompt. Here's the greeting prompt. And then it's going to say option 1, option 2, option 3, and you'll fill that in typically with a queue ID as we did here. The other type of contact flow that we'll transfer to is if we want to send a call directly to a queue. There's no upfront menu, just if the call comes in, send it right to customer service. And this is what the database looks like. We might expand it for different applications. Minimally, we want the phone number, the flow ID, the queue ID, and the extension number. And that information will drive the ongoing contact flows. So the contact flows, again, the DNIS is going to be used to go into the database and pull out the information we need. Typically, it's going to transfer the call off to something called transfer to queue, which is a contact flow that manages the handling of the options for a given customer service queue, things like check the staffing, see if anybody's working, check the hours of operation, etc. And also, the option would be to transfer them to an IVR menu, and this would manage the handling of that call that's in the menu of options that is offered to the caller. So this is a quick overview of the contact flows, and the remainder of this video will walk you through the contact flows themselves. Before we drill down into the contact flows, let's quickly discuss how these contact flows are configured dynamically, which is the whole purpose of this set of contact flows. We're going to have one contact flow that's going to be redefined based on the number the caller dialed. So to do that, we have a lambda function that is going to go out to a DynamoDB table, and based on the number that was dialed, it's going to pull back this configuration information or those pieces of the configuration that we need. Now, minimally, we need the phone number that the caller dialed. We also need a flow ID. This is where we're going to transfer that caller. And we need a queue ID if we're transferring them to a queue. Now, in each call flow, there is something called an ARN. You'll find it. And you'll see down here, the last 32 characters are the queue ID that we want to copy and put into our database. So we're going to copy the queue or the contact flow and put it in there. Likewise, if you look at a queue, you'll see that it has additional queue information. If you click on that, it'll give you the queue ARN. And again, we just want the last 32 characters here. Just copy that, and you're going to go put it in your database under queue ID. So what we're saying here is if someone calls this phone number, we're going to pass that to the lambda function, which is going to come out to the database, and it's going to pull back the information we need to complete that call. Now, typically, we're going to transfer the call to a flow. And that flow might be something like an IVR menu, in which case we wanted to get the greeting or the prompt that the menu is going to present. You've reached company A, press 1 for this, 2 for that, 3 for something else. And then you'll notice over here that we have option 1, 2, and 3. And we put queue IDs in each one of those options because if they press 1 for support, we want to send them off to the support queue. And we'll cover this in detail when we talk about the transfer to IVR flow. Sometimes we're just going to transfer the caller off to a queue. And we have a contact flow called transfer to queue, and we'll cover this in great detail. But the takeaway here is we want the dialed phone number to be used to pull back information we need to reconfigure our contact flows. They will include minimally the phone number, the flow ID, the queue ID, typically the extension number, and also if it's going to be an IVR menu, you're going to want to grab the menu options and the different options behind it. So let's take a look at how this applies to the first contact flow.